Welcome to part 3 of our series Hatching with Broody Hens, and this is what we've been building up to. In this episode, Uno will be hatching her chicks. Welcome to English Country Life. My name's Fiona, and together with my lovely husband Hugh, we run a small holding homestead here in Lincolnshire in the UK. If you've been following this series so far, you'll know that Uno, one of our Orpington hens, is brooding inside this coop, and this is the episode you'll have been waiting for because it's day 21 and Uno is going to be hatching some of those chicks. Now, what you can do with broody hens is just give them fertilised eggs, let nature take its course, and they will take care of that process. But we do things slightly differently, and that's because we are trying to make our chickens financially self-supporting. So they need to generate enough money through the sale of hens to actually support and cover all of their food costs, any coops that we need, electric fencing. So any of the costs associated with the chickens, we're trying to cover them off, and that means supporting our broody hens through the hatch process. In episode 2, we showed you how candling the eggs along the process means that we can make sure that any eggs which have failed to grow and could potentially be letting off decaying gases affecting the growth of other eggs are removed so that the eggs have the best chance of getting to the point of hatching. In this episode, we're going to show you how we give the chicks which are about to hatch the best possible chance of getting through that process. It actually is a long process and very strenuous for those chicks getting out of the egg. And we do intervene. So we're going to show you what we do and why we do it. So let's get started. I'm actually going to make this quite quick because you can see Uno is in there incubating, and underneath her she's got some of those eggs which have already started to pip. Now, what you might have noticed is there's been some changes in this area. So now we have got this green scaffold debris netting around her coop area. Now, while she was incubating and she needed some outdoor space, we had a different type of fencing with very open weave mesh, but it's very, very long, so she had a large area she could roam around in. Now that the chicks are due, that open weave mesh was too wide, and it would actually have allowed the chicks to get through it into an area where she wouldn't be able to protect them. So we put the debris netting up around her coop, which means that the chicks can't get out, and for the first few days she can actually look after them in safety. And that's really all I want to say, because I want her to be really calm and quiet and hatch those chicks. We're lucky that we've got a coop cam in this coop itself. Now, this way we can keep an eye on Una and make sure there's no issues without going into the coop. There's motion activated recording, and we can also select a live view. For a long time there's very little to see, as a broody hen will hide her eggs as they hatch to ensure that the temperature and the humidity are right. When the chicks emerge from the egg, they are quite wet and they can take some time to dry out and fluff up. Now, if we do happen to see chicks before they are fluffy, there's generally something wrong, and it's likely the broody hen is rejecting them. But in Uno's case, this isn't true. She actually has a textbook hatch, and around mid-afternoon we see the first of the fluffy chicks. Yes, this is an incubator, and yes, this is a series about hatching with broody hens. But as I said, we are trying to maximise the hatch rates for our hens, and this is how we help them. Now, there's a couple of ways we do that, and it's all really about a game of numbers, because we know that our broody hens can very easily support 15 chicks. Now, this is specific to our Orpingtons, who are larger than most Orpingtons, which actually are one of the larger breeds. Now, we started off with 17 eggs for Uno because, as you saw in part 2 of the series, not every egg is going to be fertile. And in the case of Uno, 2 of the eggs proved not to be fertile, so she is now down at hatch day to 15 eggs. Now on day 1 we only gave 6 eggs to Uno, and we put 11 eggs, so of the 17, 11 of them went in the incubator. 2 have been removed. We've now given her 10 eggs to hatch, because 10 is a good safe number. Now why do I say safe? Well, really that's because during the hatch process those chicks come out of a very strong structure, which is the egg, and they are tiny and fragile. There is a high risk, the more eggs that are under a broody hen, the higher the risk of those fragile chicks being crushed by the remaining eggs during that hatch process. So we try to keep the number to 10 as a maximum under each of the broody hens. We've got the remaining 5 eggs in this incubator. Now you might be looking at the incubator going, hang on a minute, there are more than 5 eggs in there, and you'd be absolutely right. And that's because there's not only Uno hatching today, we have got other hens hatching too, and one of those is a hen called Jellybean. Now Jellybean fell broody about 2 days before Uno, so what we've done is we've coordinated giving fertilised eggs to both hens on exactly the same day, which means they're both hatching today. That gives us some advantages, because it means that we know Jellybean hatches well. We also know she's an amazing brood hen. Uno is unproven. She's never gone through this process before. She's never incubated, she's never hatched, so we don't know how good she's going to be. In worst case scenario, Jellybean hatches her eggs, Uno doesn't manage to successfully do any. In that case, we've got 15 chicks. 8 can stay with Jellybean and 7 can go to Uno, because we know from our own experience that even if a hen is really bad at incubating and hatching, but she sat through the entire process, the instincts to actually raise the chicks to adulthood are still there. Now this is true, and I'm saying this again as a caveat, this is our Orpingtons, and it may not be true of every Orpington, but it is true of our Orpingtons. So if you are going to be doing this process yourself, just be aware that you may have to have a backup plan just to be on the safe side. But it does mean that if Jellybean is more successful than Uno, or Uno is more successful than Jellybean, we can split the resulting chicks that come out between the 2 broody hens, and providing the broody hens get those chicks within the first 3 or 4 days at most, those chicks will know who their mother is and adopt them, hear their specific calls and run to them as they're actually raised through to adulthood. We introduce the chicks in the evening as the broody hen is either going to sleep or is sleeping. It means that the chick is more likely to have a hen that stays in place until the following morning, and that allows them time to complete an initial bonding. We'll simply slip the chick under the hen's wing. What we'll then do is we'll close the coop up and watch the coop camera to ensure that she's not rejecting them immediately, in which case we'll intervene. If everything is okay after 30 minutes, we'll stop our vigil until the next morning, when we'll check again when the broody hen wakes up from her sleep. As you can see, this is a very, very successful introduction, and Uno has taken to the extra chicks beautifully. Uno has a gorgeous clutch of chicks, and she's got them inside the coop at the moment, keeping them warm, and she's doing a great job making sure that they know where food is, that they know where water is, and they are looked after properly. In the next part of this series, we'll be showing you how we look after the chicks in the first few days and how we integrate them with the rest of the flock. If you have liked this content, take a moment and give us a thumbs up down below. If you're not already a subscriber, hit subscribe and the bell icon. It's a completely free service and you'll get to know of every new video before it goes live. If you've got a question for us, pop it in the comments section and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. But for now, thanks for watching and we look forward to seeing you next time.